Hey everyone, this is Mike Andes. You're listening to the Business Bootcamp podcast. Today, we're going to be answering two questions that came in, and I'm going to share something with you that I don't think I've ever done before on the podcast. But before we get into that, I'll say a big thank you to the sponsor for the show, and that's FreshBooks. FreshBooks.com/bootcamp. Get a free 30-day trial of their software. You don't have to put your credit card in. You can try it 100% free. If you haven't already automated your payroll, if you haven't already automated your invoicing and your estimates and allowing credit card payments to be taking place with your customers, I highly recommend you do that. I don't know if I told you guys, but just a few weeks ago, we were charging our customers that paid over $1,000. We were charging them a 3% processing fee on credit cards, and we changed that. And we waive that. It's just a part of business now, is the processing fees, allowing customers, giving them the ease of access, allowing them to pay. And I didn't want to be penalizing the customers that are my biggest customers, the ones that have high ticket items. Why would I make them pay the credit card processing fees, but then not the person that has a $200 bill that isn't as big a customer? So I didn't want to penalize my best customers. And so if you haven't already, freshbooks.com/bootcamp allows your clients to pay right from their invoice via credit card. And if you're afraid of credit card processing fees, you have bigger problems to think about, because a 2-3% fee shouldn't be wiping out your business, and you should be making sure your pricing strategy allows those fees and accounts for them. So that's that. Now, we are talking about software today, so we'll get more into FreshBooks and some other software packages, comparing and contrasting them later in the show. But before we do that, I wanted to do something I haven't done before. About a year ago, a young man by the name of John wrote me an email. He actually went to businessbootcamppodcast.com and left me a comment on the contact page. And you can do that if you have a question on how to start, grow, or save your business. You can leave me a comment there. You can also, what John did later and just recently, is he left me a voice message right from that same contact page. You can use the SpeakPipe widget there and click on it and send me a voice note right from your computer. So it's pretty cool. So I'm going to play that actually because I probably get 2 to 3 of these emails a week, as far as people that I've talked to on the phone, literally hundreds, if not thousands of phone calls, definitely thousands of emails over the past 3 years now that we've done the podcast, over 3 years now. And so it's cool now because now we have some time under our belt. There's listeners that are actually seeing results and getting back to me and sharing their success. So it's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding for me, and I'm thankful to partners such as Gusto and FreshBooks and other sponsors that we've had on the show, TopTal and others, that have allowed us to continue with the podcast, and it gives me the opportunity to reach out to more of these small business owners. So I'm going to read you the question that John sent a year ago, and then I'm going to play the audio that he sent to me via the website, and just kind of him sharing a little bit of thanks and things like that. I don't usually do this, but I thought I'd share this one with you guys, and this is the reason why I keep doing what I do. So let me read this question to you. It came in let's see here, December 19th, 2016. John writes, he says, "Hi, Mike. I'm a newer listening for maybe 2 months to your podcast, and have gone back and listened to everything on iTunes because I love the content so much. It's great to hear from another millennial who is also a go-getter. I'm currently living in South Korea, but I will be moving back home to the States soon. I have come up with what I think to be a great service-based business idea that requires little to no capital and has a definite need in my community back home. The only problem is I am 25 years old, college student, and have an honest-to-goodness baby face. While this may seem like a silly thing to worry about, my business relies upon the idea that I can sell to business owners, particularly restaurant owners. While I have run this idea by a lot of my mentors, they think I'm a genius, I keep running into problems when it comes to selling to people who are longtime business owners because I look so young. What tips do you have for other young people like us selling to other businesses when you are so young?" So the reason I bring this one up is, this is now me talking in the first person, Mike. The reason I'm bringing this one up is because I actually used this question on the podcast a year ago. If you go back to late December 2016, you'll hear me talking about this question, and I kind of razzed John for using the excuse of age to dismiss himself from the opportunity that he had. And so you can go back and listen to that show if you want to hear what I said about that. And it's not often. Usually when I want to kind of make a point or I'm a little bit hard on someone, I don't air those. I will usually send it back in an email or a voice note. But that one I did play because I felt it was super relevant because I am young and I had kind of had a stance on that one that I wanted to make known. And so I guess it turned out good because John did take that to heart. And so without further delay, let me just go ahead and play what John sent me just this past week, actually October 29th. So just a little bit, about 11, almost exactly a year actually. He sent me a year later from businessbootcamppodcast.com/contact. He left me this voice note. So let me go ahead and play that now.
Hey, Mike. About a year ago, I sent you a message, and my thingamajiggy auto-corrected to calling you Matt, if you remember, and I was in Korea, and you chewed me out. I asked a dumb question, trying to get some advice for a young, new entrepreneur, and you really kicked me in the pants, and it's exactly what I needed. You told me that I didn't have an excuse and that I was making excuses and that I needed to get my butt in gear. And you were right. You were very much right. From there, I I started my business, and I still was making excuses, and I did some things out of order, and my first business failed. However, from there, I learned just how important that rule of making excuses was. We started a new business. It's called Manga Sensei. We teach Japanese to people online, and while we're working on trying to get our thing growing, we have had quite a bit of success. And I wanted to call you back not so much to ask for advice. If you would give some advice on how to grow your online presence, it would be helpful. However, I mostly wanted to send you a message back about a year later and thank you for the kick in the pants. And thank you for embarrassing me. But more so, give other entrepreneurs the energy to go out and try and make mistakes. Thank you.
So there you have it. So thank you, John. I appreciate that. I appreciate the comments and the kind words. But I wanted to share that with you all. I get a few of those a week, and that is the reason I keep doing what I do. So let's go ahead and jump into the question part of today's episode. We have two questions, one on software and another one on someone starting out their business and business. The title of their email that they sent to me is "Business is Not Booming." So let's go ahead and jump into these two questions. The first one comes from Justin. Justin is the owner of a reliable pool service in Pensacola, Florida, and I'm going to read his question now. He emailed me in at businessbootcamppodcast@gmail.com. Here it comes. He says, "Mike, found your podcast channel, and after listening to episode 1, I was hooked. Love what you do and what advice you have to offer. I own a swimming pool service company in Pensacola, Florida, going on my 3rd year in business. I currently have 80 accounts. We are projecting a 50-plus account growth in spring of 2018. I was curious to know what company you use for invoicing and billing and how your company invoices and collects. I currently use the Square system." I believe what he's saying is like Square as far as the app. Square Up it's called, and they have an app for Square, but they also do invoicing now and a whole bunch of other stuff. So anyways, back to the question. John says, "I am currently using the Square system, getting paid by checks or debit. Having 100 plus accounts, I think my company will need a more advanced invoicing and payment software. Just looking for a few recommendations." So first off, already as I mentioned earlier in today's show, I do believe that taking credit card payments is something that's going to have to happen in your business as you grow. It's if you want to be charging higher prices, if you want to be adding value to your clients, allowing them to pay when they're away from their desk, away from their house, especially if you're doing their pool in the middle of winter and they're not even there and they're on the other side of the country or the other side of the world. If you're starting to service these higher net worth clients that aren't going to be there as much, it's very nice service for you to give them the opportunity to pay with a credit card. And so I'd highly recommend you, if you're using the Square system, Justin, you can very easily integrate, the payment part. And you said you get paid with checks and debit card. Obviously, it's a pretty easy transition to switch over to credit cards. I think there are cheaper ways to do it than the Square. So Square, if you guys haven't already heard about it, it allows you to take credit cards in person, and now it allows you to send invoices and keep track of customers and a whole bunch of other things. And even keep track of employees timesheets and things like that. And so it's integrated with payroll, Gusto, and all these other cool integrations. I think it's pretty expensive. As your company grows, it's going to get pretty pricey. Square is based upon a lot of $15 per user and $15 per employee, and then you add integration. Like, it can get really expensive really fast, and it does a great job of integrating payments. So your question, Justin, is really, what do we use as our company? So I'm going to go right through the whole gamut of things we've used. All right. So way back in the day, we used PayPal because it integrated with a software system called Lawn Pro, and that is the system that I still sell with Landscape Business Course, and you can get that at landscapebusinesscourse.com, the course that I teach. And we use that for the course because that's the software we used when we first started out. And until we got to about 500, we were doing about $70,000 to $80,000 a month in revenue, and we switched from Lawn Pro. But back in the day, we were using Lawn Pro, and it integrated with PayPal and Stripe to allow us to take automatic payments. It allowed us to allow the client to pay with their credit card or with PayPal right from their invoice. And so that was pretty cool. It allowed customer portals and things like that, and it really seamlessly did the invoices and the collections and the billing and the invoicing and all that good stuff. And so that was cool. That was Lawn Pro. We used PayPal, we used Stripe, and then we used to use Amazon Payments way back in the day when it existed. It doesn't exist anymore. About 2 years ago, I think about 2 years ago now, they wiped it off the map. They stopped, their app. And the reason I used them was because they had lower card processing fees than Square. However, I ended up going back to Square even though the Amazon did go out of business with their credit card processing. The reason I went back to Square was it allowed for offline payments, which is really cool for delivery drivers to be able to swipe someone's card and be offline and then come back to the office and it actually transact the money to go through. So that's pretty cool. What's cool about Square is it integrates really well with receipts. It keeps track of who is buying what via their credit card. It just has a lot more integrations. It's very tech savvy. Starbucks uses it. Other big companies, Whole Foods, use this because it does a great job of using a lot of behind the scenes functions to track customers, know when they're buying, and a lot of really good data collection there on that side. So Square, we still use Square for our retail. So if you come into our store, we have the iPad, we have the swiper. Drivers don't take it out as much because now when people call in and the office takes the order, they pay with credit card over the phone. So that way it's already paid before we even start loading it up into the truck, and the drivers don't have to worry about that. So that makes it easier. We still use Square for the retail side of things, okay? Reason being, too, with Square, you can do what's called Square marketing. It costs, I think it's like $9 or $15 a month, and it allows you to market to customers. And so, for instance, when someone comes to our shop for the first time, the minute they leave, they're going to get an email that we don't have to collect because they're integrated through their credit card with Square. So it's kind of lame because Square keeps their information from us. But anyways, unless you collect the customer info, of course. But anyways, so Square marketing allows when they leave after that first purchase with our company, they will then get a $5 coupon code sent to them that says, "Hey, next time you want to come back to our company, you're gonna get $5 off." And then it has another integration where Square marketing, the same thing. After 6 months, if someone hasn't been at our company, if they made a purchase but they haven't been back for 6 months, it sends them a $10 gift certificate and says, "Hey, use this coupon code and you can get $10 off your next purchase." So it tries to get those people back in the door. And so that's pretty cool. That is really cool. And so we use Square for retail. For our service side of business, we use Service Autopilot. I like it. It's obviously a whole lot better than Lawn Pro software. Thing is, Lawn Pro is a very, very small percentage of the price, and best bang for your buck. If, like I said, if you're under $500,000 in revenue each year, I would recommend Lawn Pro software for landscapers and things like that. We use Service Autopilot now. It has a lot more features, and however, Lawn Pro has really caught up, and I'd say it does 90% of what Service Autopilot does. But when you get to a certain size, that extra 10% does pay off. So that's why we have it with Service Autopilot. And so with Service Autopilot, it integrates with a company called BluePay, which is now our credit card processing. And as some of you, this is like absolutely complete jumble. You don't care about this stuff, but I'm just telling you, Justin, what we've used. And so Service Autopilot is good. There's other software out there. I would look, if this is my real advice to people out there, I would look for industry specific software. What I mean by that is, if I was a lawn care landscaping, I use Lawn Pro software. It's built for landscapers and lawn care companies. That's why I still sell it with Lawn Pro. I'm sorry, with landscapebusinesscourse.com with the course. And that's why we use it in the beginning. I would look, if you're in the pool service industry, I would look for a pool service industry specific software system that's going to integrate the best with your business, because then it's very tailored. What the problem is, and I've used Jobber before as well. We used it for a very short amount of time. Jobber is a great software system. It's built by a company Jobber's a company out of Canada. Great software, great app. I love it. The problem is they're trying to suffice so many different industries: lawn care, cleaning, snow, construction, accounting, like all these. So it's very generic. The offerings and the features are very generic, which is fine. But I would, if I was you, in your service-based industry, I would look for a software that's tailored. Their entire package, all of their features are tailored to your specific industry, and not just generic for all business owners or for all freelancers. Like, really try to get specific. So that'd be my recommendation to you, and obviously make sure it integrates with payments. So that's my 2 cents on software. And FreshBooks, we've used for the podcast, for billing, like that sort of thing. And FreshBooks, I would say, is the cheapest option that isn't industry specific. So FreshBooks is one of the more generic. It does do a lot of things. The nice thing I like about FreshBooks is it allows you to tailor certain aspects of the software. If you're lawn care, it'll tailor it a certain way. If you are different, like for instance, cleaning, it'll tailor it to know how a cleaning service will typically use the software, and it'll change it. So I like that. However, if you are in a specific industry, I would say try to get a software that integrates specifically just for your industry. And if not, I would try the best option if you can't find one, is FreshBooks, because it allows you to tailor it, and it has integrations that are specific for each industry. So freshbooks.com/bootcamp. Obviously, they are a sponsor of the show, but that is my heartfelt opinion that they're the best if you don't have a software that is specific for your industry. All right, next question comes from Josh Talbot. He said, I've started a small attic insulation business due to the lack of one in my area, besides a small mom and pop shop who don't excel in their craftsmanship. I'm at the point to find a loan for business because I'm having issues drumming up business. My marginal cost per month right now is about $200, but no business, I can't keep it afloat. I'm trying to find a way to reach residential houses to educate them about insulation so I can obtain a job. I haven't gotten one call for even a free estimate. The market is there, just can't seem to get to it. Any suggestions would be great. So, without being able to talk to you, Josh, in person and get some more context of where you're at, things like that, I think the market always will tell you whether or not you're right or wrong. And so there's 2 ways I could answer this question. I'm going to answer both ways and kind of try to give a balance. The first way is, if you've marketed and you've been really grinding and pushing and you have great quality service, and you're trying to educate people and they're just not buying, you might think there's a market out there for it or that people need it, but the market will tell you what it wants by the money it spends. And so if the market's not there, there might be a reason why there's only one small mom and pop shop and they don't do a great job and there's no other big competition. It might be just a super, super small market that might make you 50, 60, 70 grand a year, but you'll never be able to make a big business out of. The other problem too is if you genuinely have to educate your consumer every single time to make a purchase, that is a very long and costly sales cycle. For instance, lawn care landscaping, everyone knows their lawn needs to be cut and trimmed. If they live in a decent neighborhood, it needs to be trimmed, it needs to look good. I don't need to educate my customer as to why they should be getting it done, why they should get their lawn mowed or their trees trimmed. They just instinctively know this stuff. When you're trying to sell insulation services to someone's attic who doesn't really care, it's not like anything's going on up there like crazy bad. They're obviously they would like to save money, but they don't want a massive upfront bill of thousands of dollars. It's going to be tough to educate them on the savings of that installation, the eco-friendliness, whatever it is, the value that your service offers. It's going to be very, very hard to convince them to educate them, number one, and then sell. I just have to sell people, market to them, get them to call me. I sell them on a product or service. When you bring in the fact that you got to educate them and even let them know that they need your service, then you got to convert them to a paying customer. That's tough. That's very tough. It can take a lot of money. It can take a lot of time, and especially when you're going after residential contracts that you might make $500, $600, $700 on when you insulate their I don't know exactly this market, but let's say $1,000 you make on each customer that you close on and do the whole job. It's very tough with that $1,000 of net profit to then go educate a couple thousand other people, of which one or two might become clients. So that's a very expensive way. It's education, and that's why brands spend millions and millions of dollars educating on new segments in the market. So for instance, when Apple comes out with a completely new category, they'll spend millions of dollars educating the consumer on why that product is needed, what benefits it has, and what pain points it's going to solve. You as a small business owner, most of the listeners on this podcast don't have that kind of money. And so sometimes we have to just ask ourselves the question, is it really worth the time and educating all these customers and the money it's going to take? Is there a big enough market to actually make it work? So that's the first thing I would say. That'd be the devil's advocate. And based upon this email, that would be the advice I would give. The positive or other side I would say is that if you don't have competition and there's a market for it, you got to figure out the one way to get that done. You got to be to educate these people. Don't spend a whole bunch. You don't have the money to spend on direct mail or a bunch of YouTube ads in your local area and spend thousands and thousands of dollars sending out postcards on the benefits of putting in insulation in their attic. Like, you just don't have the money for that. You need to do something some sort of publicity stunt. You need to do something that's super catchy, something that is visual, something that you can do on a Facebook ads, but it's going to be a video that catches local people's eyeballs, whether it be a local celebrity or whether it be somewhat a local news that's happening locally that you can say, hey, this fire happened because something was wrong in the insulation in their attic, or someone's you actually talked to a homeowner whose bill was $400 before, but then after the attic insulation it was $200, and then you talk to them in person. Like, those sort of things are catchy. Those things can really become a great source, a great way to educate your market is using that different form of marketing. And so I would say, on the positive side, if you don't have competition, there's definitely opportunity there. And I would say don't give up. On the other hand, the market will tell you if you're right or if you're wrong. So that's it for today, guys. I just want to answer those two questions. I have a really cool podcast episode I've already recorded. It's coming up next week, and I hope you listen to it. It's about customer service and 3 or 4 encounters I've had in the past few weeks only that are absolute killers for customer service and the customer experience. And if you're a small business, you can't afford to be losing customers because you're doing, bad signage, bad customer service on the phones, and all these other things I've encountered literally in the past few weeks of horrible customer experience that businesses are putting forward. And then they wonder why I don't and other people don't want to be their customers. Definitely will want to listen to that. So Josh, Justin, I hope that helped you in some way, shape, or form. Again, everyone out there, if you have questions on how to start, grow, or save your business, go to businessbootcamppodcast.com. Until next time, be great, because nothing else pays.